I now recognize my distinguished colleague from Colorado, Ranking Member Diana DeGette, who I think also wants us to recognize some of the consent here, too.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I know I join you and the rest of the members of this subcommittee in expressing our deepest condolences to those who are affected by the tragic events yesterday in Boston, and we're all thinking about all of the victims. Our colleague, Mr. Markey, has been very interested in this investigation, and understandably he's not here today, but he wanted to participate, and he has a statement, and he also has a October 2012 report that you folks have seen called Compounding Pharmacies, Compounding Risk, and I ask unanimous consent those both be entered into the record.
Without objection, they'll be entered.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for having today's hearing. Obviously, this fungal meningitis outbreak is a serious, serious situation, and our committee needs to understand the facts about how and why it occurred and what we can do to prevent it in the future. I think that this investigation has the potential to become part of the great bipartisan oversight history of this committee. I know that good investigations don't always result in legislative change, but in this case I think we can use this investigation to help us identify the legislative changes, if any, that we need to help us avoid tragedies like this again in the future. As hospitals, clinics, and other medical providers outsource more of their compounding, a number of compounding pharmacies have sprung up, and frankly they've been operating underneath the regulatory radar screen. A spotty pattern of state regulations and enforcement combined with conflicting federal law have made that even worse. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to talk about some of the facts we've uncovered as we've spent the last 5 months investigating the New England Compounding Center, the FDA, and the deadly fungal meningitis outbreak caused by contaminated compounded drugs. First of all, as we all can stipulate, the owners and operators of NECC ran a shoddy fly-by-night operation and jeopardized the lives of thousands of people. Second, for several years prior to the outbreak, the FDA received warnings about the company from its own inspectors, from state boards of pharmacy, and from whistleblowers. The FDA received warnings about and seriously considered investigating Ameridose, NECC's sister company, just a few months before NECC began to ship the deadly steroid products. One of the states that discovered these deficiencies was my own home state of Colorado, and in fact my state board of pharmacy issued a cease and desist order to stop the company's practices. Now I'm confident that we can all agree on these two facts from both sides of the aisle, but I also hope that we can agree on a third fact that will help explain why the FDA was unable to effectively regulate this company. Then I hope that we can act together to fix the problem. Mr. Chairman, in October 2012, this committee requested thousands of pages of document from the FDA about their interactions with NECC and their approach to regulating compounded drugs. The Democratic staff has reviewed these documents and yesterday released a supplemental memo with key findings. I'd also ask unanimous consent that this memo be made a part of the hearing record. This pattern of documents from 2002 through last year demonstrates that under 2 administrations and over 10 years, the FDA has not been aggressive enough in attempting to regulate compounding pharmacies. The question is why? It is a serious and legitimate question to ask what the agency should have been doing and could have been doing over these many years, and I know from your opening statement you intend to do just that. I also, though, look forward to hearing what specific solutions Commissioner Hamburg and the FDA believe would help them protect the American people from another outbreak, because these documents show us for a year the FDA has been grappling with a law that is broken, and we need to help fix that law and keep the American public safe. We also need to look at how court decisions impacted the FDA's ability to regulate. Mr. Chairman, you say that the FDA is hiding behind judicial robes, but in fact, court decisions are the law of the land. And what we have here in the wake of the serious meningitis outbreak is a patchwork of laws. We have 2 judicial circuits that are coming up with different decisions about the authority of the FDA, which is causing some of these compounding pharmacies, not all of them, but some of them, to resist any regulatory efforts by the FDA. as the FDA has been attempting to better regulate this situation since these issues came out, there have even been instances of compounding pharmacies refusing to provide the FDA access to records or facilities. And as we learned during our food safety investigations and some of our other investigations in this committee, if you have an allegation of little black particles in some of the vials of the pharmaceuticals, the FDA and its cooperating agencies need the ability to work fast. And if you have a company that says you can't come in here and makes the FDA go to court, that's not a speedy or a desirable resolution. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from Commissioner Hamburg about, number one, what the agency has done to improve the situation and to improve enforcement, and number two, what the agency thinks that we need to do legislatively to fix this law so that this will never happen again. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.